In the vast kingdom of culinary delights, few cuts of meat can lay claim to the regal title of king. But in the pantheon of barbecue, one cut reigns supreme. A marbled, savory slab of beef that holds a sacred place in the hearts and stomachs of food lovers the world over. Its journey from humble beginnings to the apex of the meat world is a story of patience, craft, and the deep-rooted bonds between culture and cuisine. Today, join me as we discover why brisket reigns as the king of meats. Brisket's story begins on the American plains, where the cow, noble and strong, roams. But this cut of beef, taken from the chest, was once considered something of a lesser prize. Tough and sinewy, it wasn't the coveted steak or tenderloin, but rather a part of the animal relegated to slow cooking, typically boiled or braised. The brisket had to work for its greatness. In its raw form, it was a challenge, requiring care, time, and expertise to transform it into something sublime. It wasn't until the rise of barbecue culture in the American South and West that brisket would ascend to the throne. To understand why brisket became the king of meats, we must look to the art of low and slow cooking, a technique passed down through generations. It's here, beneath the hickory smoke and the crackle of embers, that brisket found its destiny. At the heart of brisket's transformation lies the perfect balance of two elements: time and temperature. Brisket, with its dense muscle fibers and thick layers of fat, requires a slow and steady approach to tenderize and break down. The meat itself is tough, but it contains immense potential. The key is patience. In the cooking process, low heat, usually between 225 and 275 degrees Fahrenheit, works in harmony with time to break down the collagen in the connective tissue. This collagen, when rendered, turns into gelatin, giving the meat its melt-in-your-mouth tenderness. Meanwhile, the fat cap, at once a shield and a blessing, bastes the meat, keeping it moist while imparting flavor. It is a dance, a slow waltz between the fire and the flesh, as the brisket gradually morphs from a tough cut into something transcendent. The cook must be a careful steward of both. Too little heat, and the brisket will remain chewy and underdone. Too much, and it risks drying out. The seasoning, often just a simple rub of salt, pepper, and maybe a dash of garlic or paprika, should remain simple to let the natural flavors of the meat shine through. A balance of fire and flavor, smoke and salt. This is the art of brisket. This meticulous process, often requiring up to 12 or more hours, is not for the impatient. And therein lies part of brisket's appeal. It is a cut of meat that rewards dedication, respect, and time. It does not yield its best qualities quickly. It makes you earn it. And when you do, you are rewarded with a symphony of flavors: the smoky depth, the tenderness that falls apart at the touch of a fork, the fat that melts and coats the tongue in a rich, buttery finish. It is nothing short of magic. In Texas, where barbecue culture has deep roots, brisket became a symbol of regional pride and culinary expertise. The history of Texas brisket is tied to its agricultural past. As settlers moved westward and cattle became a staple of the diet, the brisket was often the most readily available cut for home cooks and pitmasters. But as the state's barbecue traditions grew, so too did the techniques for cooking brisket. By the mid-20th century, the low and slow method of cooking brisket became entrenched in Texas, a cornerstone of its barbecue legacy. It wasn't just the meat, it was the story, the community, the ritual of preparing it. In cities like Austin and Lockhart, brisket became more than just food. It became an expression of identity. Every pitmaster, from seasoned veterans to ambitious newcomers, dreamed of cooking the perfect brisket. The quest for the holy grail of brisket, smoky, tender, juicy, with the perfect bark on the outside, became an obsession. It was a mark of mastery. No pitmaster worth their salt would rest easy without perfecting their brisket. Brisket's rise also owes much to its versatility. While it was, and still is, the star of the Texas barbecue scene, it found itself embraced by other regions, particularly during the mid-20th century, as barbecue culture spread across the U.S. The flavors and styles evolved. In the Carolinas, the brisket often found itself paired with vinegary sauces, while in Kansas City, a rich, molasses-based barbecue sauce was the perfect foil to the meat's deep, smoky flavors. Across America, brisket adapted, but its status remained unwavering. It was the undisputed king. In the 21st century, brisket's royal status has only grown. Thanks to the internet, food shows, and the rise of the foodie culture, the appreciation for brisket has spread far beyond the borders of Texas and the American South. The cut that was once relegated to local smokehouses now graces fine dining establishments in New York, Los Angeles, London, and even Tokyo. The world has embraced it, not only because of its unparalleled flavor and texture, but because of what it represents. In many ways, brisket is a symbol of tradition. It carries with it a deep, almost ancestral connection to cooking that transcends the modern, fast-paced world. The act of slow cooking brisket, of tending to the fire, of watching the hours melt away as the meat transforms into something sublime. This is an experience. It is an art form that demands our time and attention. In our world of instant gratification, brisket reminds us of the virtues of patience, the value of craftsmanship, and the deep satisfaction of savoring something truly remarkable. Brisket has also become a symbol of celebration. From family gatherings to grand barbecues, the presence of a beautifully cooked brisket signifies something special, whether it's a holiday, a wedding, or the joy of a Sunday afternoon with friends. In Jewish delis across the world, brisket has become a symbol of family and tradition, tied to the holidays and gatherings that bond generations together. In these kitchens, brisket is not just food, it is history, it is love, it is a gift passed down through the ages. In the grand kingdom of meats, there is no challenger, no rival. Brisket stands alone at the top. It is a cut that demands respect, patience, and above all, a reverence for the traditions that have made it great. And as long as there are those willing to honor that legacy, whether they're lighting up a pit in Texas or firing up a grill in Tokyo, brisket will continue to reign supreme. A king, not just of meat, but of culture, of history, and of flavor.